The US and Canada have long shared a deeply integrated automotive industry, one that has been built over decades of trust, collaboration, and mutual economic benefit. This partnership is not just about cars crossing borders, it's about families, communities, and livelihoods on both sides, all interconnected by a web of supply chains and shared innovation. Every day, thousands of vehicles and auto parts move seamlessly back and forth, a testament to the strength of this cross-border relationship. This relationship has long been celebrated as a model of international cooperation, where two nations have managed to blend their strengths, resources, and expertise to create something greater than the sum of its parts. The auto industry has been a shining example of how open borders and shared goals can drive prosperity and innovation. Factories in Ontario were as crucial as those in Michigan, with each region specializing in different aspects of production. Canadian plants often focused on assembly and parts manufacturing, while American factories handled design and final assembly. Together, they created a powerful economic engine that fueled growth, provided stable jobs, and supported entire communities on both sides of the border. However, recent U.S. policy shifts threaten this historic partnership, replacing cooperation with competition. Political leaders in Washington have begun to prioritize domestic manufacturing, introducing new policies that favor American-made vehicles and parts. This shift has sparked concern among Canadian workers and business leaders, who fear that decades of collaboration could unravel. New American trade policies aim to reshore manufacturing jobs, creating friction and uncertainty. These policies include incentives for U.S.-based production and tariffs on imported vehicles and parts, making it more difficult for Canadian factories to compete. The ripple effects are being felt throughout the industry, as companies scramble to adapt to a rapidly changing landscape. Tariffs and incentives are pulling auto production towards the U.S., challenging the integrated North American market. Canadian plants, once bustling with activity, now face the threat of layoffs and closures. The uncertainty has put pressure on workers, suppliers, and local economies that have long depended on the steady flow of cross-border trade. This has sparked an industry reshuffle, sending shockwaves from Detroit to Ontario, leaving the sector's future uncertain. As executives gather to strategize and workers worry about their jobs, the once stable partnership between the US and Canada faces its greatest test yet. The road ahead is rocky, and the choices made now will shape the future of North American auto manufacturing for generations to come. Over the past decade, the automotive industry has witnessed a significant migration of investment and manufacturing from Canada to the southern regions of the United States. This trend is not just a matter of geography, it's a reflection of deep economic and policy shifts that are reshaping the North American auto landscape. Once, Canadian cities like Windsor and Oshawa were bustling hubs for car production, but now, more and more automakers are choosing to set up shop further south, seeking new opportunities and advantages. At the heart of this movement are new U.S. trade strategies that have fundamentally altered the playing field. Recent trade agreements and policy changes have been designed to favor domestic production, making it more attractive for automakers to invest within U.S. borders. These strategies are not just about protecting American jobs, they're about creating a competitive edge for U.S.-based manufacturing in a global market. One of the most significant factors driving this shift is the imposition of tariffs on Canadian imports. These tariffs have increased the cost of manufacturing vehicles and parts in Canada, making it less economically viable for automakers to keep their operations there. Every shipment crossing the border now faces additional scrutiny and expense, eroding the cost advantages that once made Canada a prime location for auto production. Meanwhile, the United States has rolled out a series of lucrative incentives aimed at attracting automotive companies. These incentives range from tax breaks and grants to workforce training programs and infrastructure investments. For automakers, these benefits can mean millions of dollars in savings and a smoother path to expanding their operations. The promise of a more business-friendly environment is a powerful lure, drawing companies southward. Major players like Stellantis, Honda, and Toyota have already begun shifting significant portions of their production to the U.S. By relocating, they not only avoid costly tariffs, but also position themselves to take full advantage of the incentives on offer. This move is about more than just saving money, it's about securing a foothold in the world's second-largest automotive market and ensuring long-term competitiveness. This strategic realignment is transforming the industry at every level. Automakers are rethinking their supply chains, investing in new facilities and hiring thousands of American workers, The focus is now squarely on gaining better access to the U.S. market, which remains a critical driver of global automotive sales and innovation. The sheer size and profitability of the U.S. market make it an essential destination for automakers worldwide. Companies are concentrating their production within U.S. borders to meet local demand more efficiently, respond quickly to market changes, and maximize their returns in a highly competitive industry. Ultimately, this shift southward is a calculated response to a new economic reality. One where national borders are no longer just lines on a map, but significant barriers that can impact the bottom line. For automakers, adapting to these changes is not just a choice. It's a necessity for survival and growth in the modern era. Stellantis's $13 billion U.S. investment plan marks a harsh reality for Canada, eliminating 3,000 jobs. Honda and Toyota are also shifting production to the U.S., driven by incentives and trade friction. Each move south represents a loss for Canadian workers and future investment. Automakers like Nissan and Volvo are reducing Canadian production, expanding in the U.S. This trend threatens to erode a cornerstone of the Canadian economy, leaving thousands of workers in its wake. U.S. tariffs are reshaping trade flows, altering the landscape of the global automotive industry. The Trump administration's America First policy has introduced significant tariffs on imported vehicles and parts, aiming to bolster domestic manufacturing and reduce dependency on foreign production. This strategy is not just about economics, it's a political statement, a move to reclaim industrial prowess and secure jobs for American workers. Forcing manufacturing jobs back to American soil, these tariffs are designed to incentivize companies to invest in U.S. factories. The goal is to create a robust domestic supply chain that can withstand global economic fluctuations and geopolitical tensions. This shift is evident in the resurgence of American auto plants, where workers are once again assembling cars that proudly bear the Made in USA label. A 25% tariff on trucks and 10% on buses from outside the U.S. pressures Canadian production. Canadian manufacturers, who have long been integrated into the North American auto supply chain, now face the challenge of adapting to these new economic realities. The tariffs are a double-edged sword, offering protection to U.S. industries while creating hurdles for international partners. The America First strategy rewards domestic production, providing incentives for companies to keep their operations within U.S. borders. This approach aims to revitalize American manufacturing, bringing back jobs that had been outsourced over the past few decades. The celebration on factory floors across the country is a testament to the policy's immediate impact. Creating a dual pressure system, the tariffs force automakers to navigate a complex landscape. On one hand, they must comply with new regulations and tariffs. On the other, they need to maintain competitive pricing and quality. This balancing act is a significant challenge for industry leaders, who must strategize to stay afloat in a rapidly changing market. Automakers face immense financial impacts, with tariffs forcing a business model recalibration. The increased costs of imported parts and vehicles are often passed on to consumers, leading to higher prices and potentially lower sales. This financial strain is evident in the worried faces of industry executives and the declining sales graphs that many companies are now grappling with. With tariffs forcing a business model recalibration, companies are rethinking their supply chains and production strategies. Some are investing in new technologies and automation to reduce costs, while others are exploring alternative markets to offset the impact of U.S. tariffs. The halted assembly lines and intense boardroom discussions highlight the urgency and complexity of these decisions. While USMCA offers some tariff exemptions, it also introduces strict rules of origin that complicate Canadian manufacturing. These rules require a higher percentage of North American-made parts and vehicles to qualify for tariff-free access, pushing Canadian companies to source more materials from the U.S. or face additional costs. Strict rules of origin complicate Canadian manufacturing, forcing companies to adapt their supply chains and production processes. Engineers and managers are now tasked with ensuring compliance with these new regulations, a process that involves meticulous planning and coordination. The increased scrutiny and paperwork are additional burdens on an already strained industry. The tariff hammer is dismantling the old system, breaking down the established trade agreements and practices that have defined the industry for decades. This demolition is both literal and symbolic, representing a shift towards a new era of American industrial policy. Reassembling it within U.S. borders, the new strategy aims to build a more self-sufficient and resilient automotive industry. The construction of new plants and the installation of Made in USA signs are clear indicators of this transformation. As the industry adapts to these changes, the long-term effects of the America First strategy will continue to unfold. Canada's response to job losses is swift and defiant. Industry Minister Melanie Joly threatens legal action against Stellantis for breaking promises. Unifor, Canada's largest union, demands retaliatory tariffs and legal challenges. Prime Minister Mark Carney blames U.S. tariffs, framing the issue as a trade dispute. The Canadian government faces pressure to retaliate while maintaining diplomatic relations. Leaders signal they won't let the manufacturing sector be dismantled without a fight. The human story behind tariffs is one of disruption and anxiety. In Canada, job losses at Stellantis and Honda mean economic hardship for families and communities. The ripple effect extends beyond assembly lines, affecting local economies. In the U.S., new jobs bring hope, creating winners and losers across the border. This zero-sum trade conflict strains the friendship between the two nations, pitting workers against each other. Canada and the U.S. are at the negotiation table, but resolution is elusive. U.S. tariffs remain a sticking point, with Canada seeking relief before its national budget. The USMCA review in 2026 is a crucial opportunity for renegotiation. Canada threatens legal challenges and tariffs, while the U.S. courts automakers with incentives. The outcome will determine if the North American auto industry can be salvaged or fractured. The future of the North American auto industry is uncertain. Canadian workers face insecurity, while American workers see new opportunities. Car buyers may face higher prices and fewer choices due to a fractured supply chain. The U.S.-Canada relationship is tested, with nationalistic competition replacing cooperation. The upcoming USMCA renegotiation will be pivotal in shaping the industry's future. The industry navigates unprecedented disruption, with decisions impacting generations.